The Galactic Council thought they had humans figured out. Primitive little mammals who barely crawled out of their atmospheric prison, clinging to emotional nonsense while superior species conquered star systems with logic and efficiency. Admiral Keth-Mor adjusted his sensory nodes as he reviewed the intelligence reports on Species 7 Alpha, designation, humans. Such a ridiculous name, really. No class, no imagination. Just, humans. They form what they call pair bonds, his tactical advisor, Ven Sul, reported with what could only be described as disgust dripping from her translator. Completely irrational attachment to single individuals. It makes them predictable, exploitable. Keth-Mor's mandibles clicked in amusement. The hegemony had conquered 47 species in the last century, and every single one fell to the same strategy: identify their weakness, exploit it, harvest their resources, move on. Humans would be no different. And their military capabilities? Keth-Mor asked, though he already knew the answer would be laughably inadequate. Pathetic, Ven Sul confirmed, her 6 eyes rolling in synchronized contempt. Their fastest ships barely achieve light speed. Their weapons are still based on primitive kinetic projectiles and fusion reactions. Their most advanced AI couldn't process a grocery list compared to our basic maintenance drones. The Admiral species, the Vorthak, had evolved past such messy biological limitations as love. They reproduced through calculated genetic optimization, formed alliances based on mutual benefit, and conquered worlds with mathematical precision. Emotions were inefficiency. Love was weakness. There is one human worth noting, Ven Sul continued, pulling up a holographic display. Dr. Elena Vasquez. Their leading xenobiology expert. She's been instrumental in their recent technological advances. Keth-Mor studied the human female's image. Unremarkable by Vorthak standards, only 2 eyes, pathetically limited sensory range, fragile bone structure. But her psychological profile was interesting. She has a mate, Ven Sul added with particular satisfaction. Captain Marcus Reid, their military's tactical operations commander. Classic human pair bonding. We capture one, the other becomes completely compromised. Excellent. Keth-Mor's satisfaction resonated through his vocal chambers. Begin Phase 1. Target the male during their next patrol mission. The female will surrender their entire defense network to save her precious love. Oh, how wrong they were. How spectacularly, catastrophically wrong. 3 rotations later, Keth-Mor received the first report from Strike Commander Yes Thursday. Captain Reid's ship had been intercepted near the Tau Ceti system, exactly as planned. The human vessel, a laughably small frigate called Defiant Dawn, had surrendered without firing a single shot when presented with overwhelming force. The human male is secured in Detention Cell 7, Yas Thursday reported. Minimal resistance. As predicted, these creatures prioritize survival over honor. Keth-Mor activated the communication array, eager to begin negotiations with Dr. Vasquez. Humans were so delightfully simple, threaten the thing they loved most, watch them crumble. Elena Vasquez appeared on the screen, and Keth-Mor immediately noticed something the intelligence reports had missed. Her eyes weren't filled with the expected panic or desperation. They burned with something far more dangerous, fury. Admiral Keth-Mor, I presume, she said, her voice steady as neutron star collapse. You have something that belongs to me. Indeed, Keth-Mor replied smugly. Your mate's continued existence depends entirely on your cooperation. Transmit your defensive codes, surrender your fleet positions, and he lives. Refuse. He let the threat hang like poison in space. Elena smiled. Actually smiled. Keth-Mor's mandibles twitched uncertainly. That was not the expected response. You know what your fundamental error is, Admiral? Elena asked conversationally. You think love makes us weak. You think caring about someone means we'll sacrifice everything to keep them safe. Does it not? Keth-Mor found himself asking, though he hadn't intended to engage in philosophical discussion with prey. "Oh, it does mean we'll sacrifice everything," Elena agreed cheerfully. "Just not in the way you think. See, you're operating under the assumption that everything means our ships, our codes, our surrender. But there's something you don't understand about human love, Admiral." Keth-Mor waited, though warning signals were beginning to pulse through his consciousness. "When you threaten the person we love most in the universe," Elena continued, her smile growing wider and more terrifying, "you don't get our compliance. You get our absolute, unrestrained, completely unhinged dedication to your total annihilation." "Empty threats," Keth-Mor scoffed, though doubt was creeping in. "You have no weapons that can harm us." "Weapons?" Elena laughed, and the sound made Keth-Mor's scales crawl. "Admiral, we don't need weapons. We have something far more dangerous. We have human creativity powered by love-fueled rage. And frankly, you just made the worst mistake in galactic history." Before Keth-Mor could respond, alarms began shrieking throughout his command ship. Vensul rushed to her console, her 6 eyes wide with panic. "Sir! The human research station at Wolf 359. It's gone dark." "Define gone dark," Keth-Mor demanded, though ice was forming in his circulatory system. "Sir!" Vensul's voice cracked. "The entire star system is gone dark. Wolf 359 itself has stopped transmitting electromagnetic radiation. It's still there, but it's not burning anymore." Elena's laughter filled the bridge, echoing off the walls like the promise of apocalypse. "That's impossible," Keth-Mor roared. "Stars don't just stop burning. The fusion reactions are self-sustaining. It would take impossible amounts of energy to interfere with stellar nucleosynthesis." "Would it?" Elena asked mildly. "Because I spent the last 3 years developing a little project I like to call stellar interruption cascades. Theoretical, of course. Until about 15 minutes ago." The view screen shifted to show Wolf 359, and Keth-Mor's blood turned to liquid nitrogen. The star sat in space like a massive, dark sphere, still present, still gravitationally active, but completely, impossibly cold. "You see, Admiral, when Marcus and I got married, I promised him something." Elena's voice dropped to a whisper that somehow carried more menace than any battle cry. "I promised that anyone who heard him would learn exactly what a xenobiologist can do when she stops caring about the ethical implications of her research." "This is madness," Keth-Mor sputtered. "You've killed billions of organisms in that system. The ecological devastation. The violation of natural law." "Yep." Elena agreed with disturbing cheerfulness. "And Wolf 359 was just the test run. See, I've got 17 more stellar interruption devices positioned throughout this sector. Each one aimed at a star system containing Vorthak colonies." Silence fell over the bridge like the cold of dead stars. "Now," Elena continued conversationally, "here's how this works. You're going to release Marcus. You're going to return him unharmed. You're going to withdraw every single Vorthak ship from human space. And you're going to do it in the next 6 hours. Or..." Keth-Mor managed to croak. Elena's smile turned absolutely feral. "Or I turn 17 more stars into cosmic tombstones, taking your entire colonial network with them. And Admiral? Unlike you, when humans make threats, we mean them." The transmission ended, leaving Keth-Mor staring at a dark screen and facing the impossible reality that somewhere in the universe, a human female had just threatened to commit stellar genocide for love, and she had the power to do it. Keth-Mor stood frozen for precisely 43 seconds, his advanced Vorthak brain desperately trying to process what had just occurred. A human female had threatened to commit genocide on a stellar scale. For love. And she actually had the capability to follow through. "Sir?" Vensul's voice trembled through her translator. "Orders? Run a deep scan on Wolf 359, Keth-Mor commanded, his mandibles clicking nervously. Confirm the human's claims. The bridge fell silent except for the hum of scanning equipment. When the results appeared on the tactical display, Keth-Mor felt his exoskeleton shiver. Wolf 359 showed zero fusion activity. The star's core temperature had dropped to near absolute zero. Somehow, impossibly, the human had murdered a star. How? Vensul whispered. How does a primitive species achieve stellar manipulation? Strike Commander Yaz Thursday materialized on the communication screen from his detention ship. Admiral, the human prisoner is requesting to speak with you. He claims it's urgent. Put him through, Keth-Mor ordered. Though his confidence had evaporated like atmosphere through a hull breach, Captain Marcus Reid appeared on screen, and Keth-Mor immediately understood why Elena Vasquez would burn stars for this male. Where humans typically appeared weak and emotional, Marcus radiated calm competence. His eyes held the kind of steady determination that made civilizations tremble. Admiral, Marcus said politely, I believe my wife has made you an offer. Your mate has committed an act of cosmic terrorism. Keth-Mor sputtered. The Galactic Council will never allow such violations of natural law. Marcus actually chuckled. Admiral, the Galactic Council spent 2 centuries dismissing humanity as irrelevant. They laughed when we applied for membership. They ignored our diplomatic requests. They certainly didn't object when you decided to invade our space and take our people hostage. The human's voice remained conversational, but something dangerous flickered behind his eyes. So frankly, we've stopped caring what the Galactic Council thinks is acceptable. You cannot threaten entire star systems. Keth-Mor protested. The civilian populations. The ecological damage. Can't we? Marcus tilted his head with genuine curiosity. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like we absolutely can. Elena's already proved that. The question isn't whether we can do it, Admiral. The question is whether we will. Vensul frantically gestured for Keth-Mor's attention. Sir. Long-range sensors are detecting anomalous readings from 17 star systems throughout Vorthak space. Energy signatures consistent with whatever the human did to Wolf 359. Marcus nodded approvingly. Elena's always been thorough. PhD in xenobiology from Earth's finest university, 3 published papers on stellar nucleosynthesis manipulation, and absolutely zero patience for species that threaten her family. This is insanity. Keth-Mor roared. You're talking about wiping out billions of lives. Are we? Marcus asked mildly. Or are we talking about defending ourselves against an unprovoked invasion by a species that considers us inferior? See, Admiral, that's where you made your fundamental error. You assumed human emotions make us weak, but you never considered what happens when those emotions make us desperate. Keth-Mor's tactical display lit up with incoming transmissions from across Vorthak space. Colony governors, fleet commanders, civilian administrators, all reporting the same terrifying phenomenon. Unknown energy signatures had appeared in their star systems. Their suns were showing signs of instability. You're bluffing, Keth-Mor said, but his voice lacked conviction. No species would actually commit stellar genocide. Marcus smiled, and the expression was somehow more terrifying than Elena's had been. Admiral, let me tell you something about human love that your intelligence reports missed. When we love someone, we don't just care about their happiness. We become willing to sacrifice everything, including our own moral boundaries, to protect them. The human leaned forward, his eyes burning with quiet intensity. Elena didn't just threaten to kill 17 stars, Admiral. She did it because she loves me enough to become a monster if that's what it takes to bring me home safely. And you're comfortable with that? Keth-Mor found himself asking, genuinely bewildered by the human concept. Comfortable? Marcus laughed, but there was no humor in it. Admiral, I'm terrified of what my wife is capable of when she's angry. But I'm also incredibly proud of her. Do you know what she gave up to develop stellar interruption technology? Keth-Mor waited, sensing this was important. She spent 3 years developing ways to save dying stars, Marcus continued. Her research was supposed to extend stellar lifespans, prevent supernovas, give civilizations more time to evolve and grow. She could have won every scientific prize in known space. Marcus's voice softened with love and pride. Instead, she weaponized her life's work because someone threatened the person she cares about most. That's not weakness, Admiral. That's the most terrifying kind of strength in the universe. Alarms began shrieking throughout Keth-Mor's command ship. Vensol's 6 eyes went wide with panic. Admiral! The star Kepler 442. It's showing signs of fusion disruption. On the main screen, Kepler 442, home to one of the Vorthak Empire's largest colony worlds, flickered like a dying candle. The stellar disruption was beginning. Elena's starting the countdown, Marcus observed calmly. 17 star systems, Admiral. 17 chances to do the right thing before she starts snuffing out suns like birthday candles. How long do we have? Keth-Mor asked, his proud military bearing crumbling. Based on her calculations? About 4 hours before Kepler 442 goes completely dark. Then she moves to the next system on her list. Marcus shrugged. Elena always was efficient. Keth-Mor's communication array exploded with desperate transmissions. Colony governors begging for evacuation. Fleet commanders requesting orders. Civilian populations detecting their stars weakening and demanding answers their government couldn't provide. This is madness, Keth-Mor whispered. She's one human female. How can one individual hold an entire empire hostage? Because, Marcus said gently, you underestimated what human love actually means. It doesn't mean we become weak and compliant when threatened. It means we become absolutely ruthless in defense of what we cherish. The bridge fell silent except for the constant stream of panicked reports from across Vorthak space. What do you want? Keth-Mor finally asked, his voice broken. It's simple, Marcus replied. You release me. You withdraw all Vorthak forces from human space. You formally recognize human sovereignty. And you never, ever threaten a human's loved ones again. And if we comply? Marcus smiled, and for the first time, it looked genuinely warm. Then Elena turns off her doomsday devices, we go home to our little research station, and we pretend this unpleasantness never happened. She might even publish her stellar preservation research. Help your colonies extend their star lifespans. And if we refuse? The warmth vanished from Marcus's expression. Then the Vorthak Empire learns what happens when you threaten a human's family. 17 star systems become cosmic graveyards, and Elena adds that genocide to her scientific resume. Keth-Mor looked around his bridge at his terrified crew, then at the reports flooding in from across his empire. One human woman had brought the Vorthak hegemony to its knees using nothing but love-fueled determination and impossible science. Release the human prisoner, he commanded quietly. Recall all fleets from human space. Send formal recognition of human territorial sovereignty. Sir? Vensol asked uncertainly. The High Command will demand explanations. Keth-Mor gestured at the tactical display showing 17 dying star systems. Tell them we learned that human love isn't weakness. It's the most dangerous force in the galaxy, and we were fools to test it. As Marcus Reid's rescue ship departed for human space, Keth-Mor watched Kepler 442's fusion reactions slowly stabilize and return to normal. One by one, the energy signatures around Vorthak star systems faded as Elena Vasquez powered down her stellar weapons. Sir, Vensol said softly, what do we tell the other species about humanity? Keth-Mor considered this carefully. We tell them the truth. That humans may seem primitive and emotional, but when they love someone, they become capable of anything. including burning down the universe to keep that person safe. He turned to leave the bridge, feeling older than his 4 centuries. And we make sure every species in the galaxy understands, never, ever threaten a human's family. Because they don't negotiate with terrorists. They become something far worse. The Vorthak Empire learned that day that human love wasn't a weakness to exploit. It was a superweapon disguised as emotion, and Elena Vasquez had just proved that when humans love someone, they don't just move mountains, they murder stars.